Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to the Styrian Mountains. Welcome back to the Red Bull Ring for race 2 of the season for the ADAC GT4 Germany. Yesterday, the 2026 season got off to quite a start, a fairly robust race in the Austrian sunshine. Conditions, once again, glorious. 14.8 degrees centigrade. There was a nip in the air this morning, but it is heating up very, very quickly. We need some drivers to cool down a bit after yesterday. Many of the teams burning the midnight oil, repairing cars. It was quite damaging, but in the end, it was the legend, Gabriele Piana, along with Benjamin Silvesterson, who came out on top after a race-long battle with Lachlan Robinson and Denny Burns. And Denny having to give up the lead, having performed what was classed as an illegal overtaking maneuver and was never able to get back in front. In the background, another of the Avia WNS Motorsport Porsches, Maxi Schreier and Alain Gabet at the wheel, came home in third place. It means that they are the 1, 2, 3 in the point standings as we come into the second race of the season. And it is the same players that are going to be contending at the front again as we get ready for this race. But one driver that has jumped into pole position, welcome back once again, Philip Gogolok, had a bit of bad luck yesterday. The car stopped briefly out on track, came to a halt out on the pit straight. He did a bit of a Control-Alt-Delete, unplugged it, plugged it back in again, switched it off, switched it on, and finally got going. But it wasn't what he had hoped for. Came home in 10th place, so not as many points as he would have liked. It is the 7th pole position for Philip Gogolok, though, here in race 2 of the season. His 7th pole in this wonderful series. He's a 4-times winner, and this is his 42nd start. But you know that Alain Gabet, the driver from Israel, alongside him, is going to be challenging him hard as we go into this race. So we have just a little over 2 minutes before we start the formation lap. The race is a little bit unusual in that we're in the morning. Normally it's the last race of the day and we have the late afternoon sunshine. Well, we've got the morning sunshine today as we look at yesterday's winner, Benjamin Silvesterson. And it means, because of that, we're able to have a second voice alongside me. So I'd like to welcome to the commentary box. He's got his lederhosen on. He's been doing his yodeling, the voice of DTM. Hello, Chris Hartley. This is a privilege, GT4 Germany.
I told you not to tell anybody about the lederhosen. It's supposed to be our secret, Brian. Yeah, morning, everybody. Yeah, nice to join you in the commentary box for GT4. As you say, earlier than normal, which means cooler. I mean, it's sunny, but it's quite a bit cooler track temperature-wise than it was yesterday afternoon. So in the early-ish spring here, it's pretty cold in the morning and in the evening still, and takes a little while to warm up, but it should be around about 20 degrees when we get to the hottest points of the day. Blue skies, a huge crowd here. Wonderful venue. This is 4.3-kilometre long circuit, which has this huge undulation, and having walked around it a couple of nights ago, that climb from the start-finish line up to turn 1, and then particularly from turn 1 all the way up the hill to turn 3. I would say it's steeper and longer than the climb up the famous Eau Rouge section at Spa-Francorchamps. And then in the middle of the lap, you're really winding downhill. It's a proper roller coaster ride. It's like a sledge run down the hill from the Rauch curve, really, turn 4, which is one that catches a few drivers out. And you saw some of that yesterday, didn't you, in the GT4 race? Big gravel trap awaits there because it's a downhill run. It's easy to carry too much speed into turn 4. And then you're downhill through what is a lovely sequence of corners through turn 5, the right, 6, the left, 7 the left at the Graz curve. It's a great sequence of corners, that. And then even the last 2 corners, because it's such a steep climb, you're quite steep downhill and carry a ton of speed coming out of the last corner. There you can see the rise up, the wall that awaits on that run into turn 1. So always lots of drama at turn 1, and even more drama when they properly hit the brakes for the slowest corner on the lap at the top of the hill for turn 3.
Yes, the TV cameras have a real habit of flattening this circuit out, and you could see that that hill in front of you there, it's turn one, is by no means the steepest climb on the lap. Really is a lot of undulation. It's quite a challenge. It's a great venue for the season opener. The Red Bull Ring, 4.318 kilometers around. Only 10 turns, 7 of them in the right-hand direction, 3 to the left. So a fairly short circuit. Of course, it is a Formula One track. The drivers absolutely love coming here. Never seen a crowd as big as I did yesterday, and they have been thoroughly entertained by all the racing that we've been seeing here on the DTM platform. So now the cars start on their formation lap, and we take a look at the grid. A 7th pole position for Philippe Gogolot with Alon Gabet from Israel alongside ADAC MX Motorsport, featuring very heavily at the front with Denny Burnt in P3. Yesterday's winner, Benjamin Silvesterson for FK Motorsport. They line up alongside each other on row 2 of the grid. Then it's Hendrik Still, good quali from him, alongside Frederick Zebis. 2 more ADAC MX Motorsport Porsches. They're ahead of Lucas Stuyvelhagen and Victor Nielsen. That is an all BMW row 4 of the grid. On row 5, it's Lewis Moser, another of the FK Performance Motorsport runners, and Philip Viskersen had a puncture yesterday in that car, which was tough. Oscar Dixon, Hamish Forrest, as an all-UK row on the grid, row 6. And then Jack James, another British driver, alongside Eric Bertelsen. A lot of damage in that car yesterday. Marius Schmidt and Roman Felder-Feldegg. He had a good, strong race yesterday. Jonathan Engstrom from Sweden has Lawrence Rule for company on row 9. And then the sole car on row 10, very impressive yesterday. Hudson Schwartz, that car starting at the back for both races, having been disqualified from qualifying due to breaching Parc Fermé conditions. But Hudson Schwartz yesterday, really very impressive, along with Lucas Cartel in the Toyota Supra, looking very dialed in. This is ADAC GT4 Germany, 60 minutes plus 1 lap of racing with a mandatory pit stop and driver change that will come 25 minutes into the race is when the pit window will open, and it will remain open for 10 minutes. But for now, in the Austrian sunshines, the cars look glorious side by side as they come out at turn 10, and it's going to be Philippe Gogolot who leads them across the line, but trying to get that jump into the first corner will be Alon Gabet. The 5 red lights are on, and we are waiting for those 5 red lights to go off, and we are racing once again. It's race 2 of the season, GT4 Germany here at the Red Bull Ring. Philippe Gogolot getting his nose up ahead into turn 1. He comes. Now Alon Gabet taking a very wide line around turn 1. Everybody's made it there. This is a drag race. Turn 2, foot flat to the floor. No lifting off in turn 2. Up the hill we come. Gogolot has the inside line into turn 3. Gabet is going to try and go the long way round. Not going to do that into turn 3, but he's still holding on there. There's another right-hander coming up ahead. The cars scatter left and right as they go round that turn 3. Gogolot now gets the car in front. Gabet tucks in behind. Denny Burnt in there as well, picking up his slipstream. The tricky turn 4. Once again, Gabet to the outside, but still Gogolot very much in front. Briefly, Gabet was showing as the leader, but it's Gogolot who leads the way at the moment. Denny Burnt in there as well. Yesterday's winner, Benjamin Silvesterson, in the background, ready to jump if any of these cars should get together. Now Gogolot has got the job done. He's in front. He opens up a gap. Suddenly, Alon Gabet coming under pressure from Denny Burnt, his teammate in the sister car, tucked up behind. Behind them, Benjamin Silvesterson in the big BMW. Wants to get back onto the top step of the podium. Keep an eye on the Toyota Supra in the background. Hudson Schwartz already up into 14th place. He takes a very wide line out of the corner. Into 9 and 10 we come to complete the first lap. Now Gogolot got the job done. He's opened up a gap. Now he moves in towards turn 1 in the background. Gabet and Burnt still glued together. Benjamin Silvesterson. There's Hendrik Still taking a different line into turn 1. Lots and lots of drama up and down the pack.
Yeah, really good, respectful racing between those two, wasn't it? All the way through the first corner, oh dear, into the pits. Already the number 92 Porsche of Oscar Dix with a problem at the end of the first lap of the race. But a really good battling between the top two. Gogolok and the Aston Martin dug his heels in, didn't he? But they ran side by side several times. But as far as I could tell, no real contact between them. Gabay gave it everything. And then in the end, as you said, he had to start keeping an eye on the mirrors with Denny Burton, who was very quick yesterday in the second stint of the GT4 race, looming large in the mirrors. I watched as well a good start off the line for the number 33 Porsche of Frederick Zebis, but he couldn't really make it work for him through the run through turns 1, 2 and 3. So he's really got off the rolling start, but he didn't really gain anything as a result of that, and has now got sucked into that second group of cars. The BMWs all coming through, kind of glued together in that pack, aren't they, in 7th, 8th, 9th and 10th positions. But Gogolok, now that he's free of the battle, has got himself a bit of a head start, about 7 or 8 tenths clear. But a huge disappointment for Oscar Dix. Bad race yesterday for him as well. And then poor old his teammate Vinenko doesn't even get to go in the car today, which is a real shame. Yeah,
it doesn't look like that Vinenko's going to get a drive, does it? So Oscar Dix will head back to West Sussex with his tail between his legs and will want to come back at the Norris ring next time round to do it all again. Right, well, look at this, and Spinner Hudson Schwartz, after all that progress in the Toyota Supra. Now, whether there was contact or whether there's a puncture, I think it's a puncture. Yes, the left rear. Oh, what a shame there. And he's missed the pit entry, so he's going to have to go all the way around. If he can get the car back, he's going to have to come in, have a fresh tyre put on that, but he's going to lose a ton of time. A real shame for the driver from the USA. You can see how hard he is pushing to get back, because he's going to have to do well over 4 kilometres to get back into the pits for that tyre change. Meanwhile, further back, we're running 3 abreast. I saw on the previous lap, running 3 abreast into turn 4. I thought, really? You want to do that? The 77 car with Philip Viskersen at the wheel. He was very quick yesterday until the puncture put paid to a chance of any kind of podium. So he's fighting back as well in that 9th place. All of this is of no trouble at all to Philip Gogolok, who's well clear of this battle. 2nd, 3rd, 4th, running together. Benjamin Silvesterson to the outside of Denny Burton, trying to get back on the podium. Henrik Still in the background. Keep an eye on Henrik Still. He was very rapid yesterday onto the dirt. Bit of rallycross for Benjamin Silvesterson. Also, Denny Burton was a little bit wild in front. No problems for Philip Gogolok, but this fight for 2nd place, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, absolutely running as one on the circuit. Silvesterson, well, he's gathered it all up, but certainly 10 out of 10 for courage. Kept his foot buried on it. Out of turn 10, he comes out along the pit straight once again, up towards turn 1. As is always the way with GT4 Germany, is entertainment from beginning to end. Hudson Schwartz still fighting that car. He's round at turn 8 at the moment, so he's getting towards the pit entry. That's where the tyre let go. He was in the battles just prior to that. I wonder whether he had a bit of contact from another car that may have caused that tyre to deflate, but he's a long way back. He's now just peeling into the pit lane as we speak. The sparks as the car bounces over the curbs. There's not much traction on the grass. There's not much traction with a deflated tyre either. But he's finally made it back into the pit. So hopefully the team at CRT Motorsport will get to work nice and quickly, and they can get the car back out. Of course, when you're running with a puncture, you risk damaging the car with the flapping rubber, and whatever else is happening there at the rear, you can risk doing more damage to the car just getting it back to the pits.
Yeah, and because he had to go so far, basically a whole lap, you, as a racing driver, you want to go get back as quickly as possible, limit the damage, but you can, as you say, cause further damage to the car. It's a replay of this battle that we had. Now, Silvesterson was waiting for the gap to appear here on the way into the right-hander at the end of the lap, but it never came, so he had to go through the gravel, lost all the traction, and it was very smart driving to nip past him by Henrik Still in the Porsche to grab that 4th place. But the BMW is quick, and he's going to try and come back now and get that position back. Catching them all the time in the background is the pale blue number 50 BMW. Victor Nielsen, the Danish driver, one of the FK Performance cars. He had a good start off the line as well, and gained a place on the first lap of the race. So from the 4th row of the grid, he's starting to come into the equation. What's this? Somebody else running white. Yeah, somebody else visiting the gravel. That's Jack James,
yes.
who's put 2 wheels through the gravel. Because they're all so tightly packed, I mean, there are clusters of cars all the way through the order. You just make a mistake like that, you don't lose 1 place, you tend to lose 3 or 4 positions, and it would have taken him an age to get back up to speed. Now look at this battle for 4th place as the BMW of Silverstone tries the outside line to try and cut back on the inside. That's smart driving, and he might get the run here on Still when they charge towards turn 4. He might have the inside line, tried it, but not quite. That BMW looking menacing all the time in the mirrors. Henrik Still will be certainly making sure he brakes late enough into turn 4, but don't outbrake yourself because it's steep downhill here, easy to run deep into the corner and through that gravel trap. Does it perfectly, defends the position, but he's a bit ragged on the way through the apex, and this will bring the BMW onto him now as they go tumbling down this section, this brilliant section down into the left-hander at turn 6, down at Gratz curve. There's half a chance if you can be close enough to tumble down the inside there, but I think the Porsche's probably done enough, just about to hold on to it. So Still really rolling his sleeves up to hold off that BMW and stay in 4th, but they're not really losing ground with the 2 ahead despite this fight, are they?
No, it's quite impressive really. Henrik Still is a wise driver, a long-time contender in GT4 Germany and a race winner. A lot of damage to that car as well. You can see bits of bodywork flapping. Doesn't appear to be affecting him too much at the moment. Benjamin Silverstone, who was challenging for the 3rd, got shuffled down the order as a result of that excursion. Now onto the pit straight he comes once again. He will pick up a slipstream effect as they come downhill and up that steep climb into turn 1, but maybe not enough here. But I think it's going to be around turn 2 and up the hill towards turn 3 where he's going to get his best opportunity. Henrik Still will be mindful of the big BMW in his mirrors, and he'll be ready in case Benjamin Silverstone tries to sell the dummy into that turn 3. He's trying to get the job done though before they hit the braking point. He does that. He slots the BMW into the gap. Can he slow it down? Yes, he can. He takes that position away, relegates Henrik Still down a position, but Still now coming back. He's not on the advantageous line into turn 4. Silverstone, as long as he can brake well and keep it tidy, will stay in front through this corner, but Henrik Still keeping the pressure on. Silverstone finally gets the job done, but still, Henrik Still coming back at him on the inside. Never say die in the Porsche. In the background, Victor Nielsen ready to jump if these 2 cars were to get together. Now Benjamin Silverstone is able to get his BMW in front, and that is a sad sight. Hudson Schwartz in the pits in the Supra. Clearly a lot of damage, and you think that maybe the flapping rubber from that puncture may have done more damage to the car. There's your race leader, Philip Goglock. Is well over 2 seconds ahead of 2nd place Alain Gabet. Goglock, well, I'm hoping, I haven't spoken to him, I didn't look for him yesterday, didn't find him. I wanted to know what the problem was with the car that brought him to a stop, but he will be a little bit nervous, I expect, knowing that the car did just pack up and then restart again. Hopefully they have sorted that. At the moment, a 2.4 second lead is actually pretty comfortable in the world of GT4 racing. Still a lot more to come though. Alain Gabet, always rapid. Denny Byrne in the background. Benjamin Silverstone has now broken clear of Henrik Still. Victor Nielsen behind him.
Yeah, Victor Nielsen, the lap before this one was half a second quicker than the 2 ahead. And when they started battling on that last lap, he was 7/10 quicker. So he's absolutely with them now in that pale blue number 50 FK Performance BMW. Just running through shot at the head of the next group. In 12th place was that pink Mercedes of Mario Schmidt, the BWT Muga Motorsport car. Mercedes struggling a bit in qualifying today, most of them down towards the tail end of the field. So there's that run into turn 4. There's the pink Mercedes going through in 12th place. In 13th place, just behind, is the number 10 car of Hamish Forrest, the British driver making his debut. Doing a decent job. Out wide goes the BMW. That's going to cost it 2 places. And Steve Hager loses the positions through the gravel trap, loses another one to the Porsche as he gets back up to speed. And it just shows how difficult that corner is. There's always one corner on a lap of a circuit that looks a bit innocuous, but is actually the one that catches them all out. And that's definitely turn 4 here, the Rauch curve. They're approaching a fair old speed as well on that run from turn 3 at the top of the hill. So fastest lap of the race last time around for the race leader, Goglock, in the Aston Martin. He just does another pretty good lap as well there, 1:37.025, so 2/10 quicker on that lap as well. Gap drove all the time to 2.7 seconds.
Problems for Stiefel. He's got a puncture or broken steering. I think it's more broken steering than a puncture. The driver who was in the Next Gen Cup last year, very different discipline here, the electric cars before, but that looks like he's broken a steering part, a tracking rod or something, whatever it is. That looks pretty terminal for him, doesn't it? So Stiefel into the pits, and I think Leon Bauchmuller might struggle to get into the seat of that car today. There's some debris from the car. We saw that flying up into the air. Fortunately, he wasn't too far away from the pit lane, but in he comes, and I suspect that will be in for retirement.
Yeah, so was it the problem with the car that sent him into the gravel trap, or was it because he went into the gravel trap that there's a problem with the car? But the debris that he's left behind is a bit of a worry, because that chunk was right on the racing curb, wasn't it? So if another car runs over that, could pick up a puncture, so the officials will look at that. If there's a chance to do so, the marshal might be able to go on when the cars are on the other side of the circuit and just clear that for safety's sake. So Gogolok continuing to pull away in the lead of the race. Gabet and Berndt and Silvesterson, second, third and fourth, all still pretty close together. And Nielsen is now ahead of Steele. Look, so Steele has dropped back. They've dropped both Nielsen and Steele, and they're the slippery surface flag, or in this case, object on surface flag, which is the yellow and red flag being held by the marshals just to warn the drivers, look, there's something ahead, be careful, look out for it. And so far, they're avoiding that curb and avoiding that what looks like a bit of carbon fibre, which has some very sharp edges. Oh, not all of them.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, the Mercedes picks it up, doesn't it?
Yeah, Marius Schmid, and hopefully that's not going to give him a puncture. So he's collected it. It's actually wedged underneath the car of the BWT MX Motorsport Mercedes. So Marius Schmid with a little bit of extra, well, it wouldn't be downforce, but extra drag, I think. Into turn one he comes. He'll want to try and deposit that as quickly as possible. Hopefully that's not going to give him or anybody else a puncture. He's around the fastest part of the circuit at the moment. There is Benjamin Silvesterson challenging Denny Berndt. So this is for a podium position. Silvesterson looking so quick, but he's got a couple of wheels onto the grass. Denny Berndt giving as much as a squeeze as he dare into turn three. Berndt with the Porsche in front. Silvesterson drops in back behind, but a bit of a wild moment there with a couple of wheels onto the grass. Continuing into turn five, taking a different line to the car in front. Up ahead, you can see Alain Gabet breaking clear, and now Silvesterson with a nose in front on the inside line, relegating Denny Berndt. Looked like that was always going to happen, but Berndt comes back to him, ducks back to the inside, but Silvesterson has this covered off. Remember, he has been mentored and coached by Gabriele Piana, the legend of GT4 racing. Probably taught him how to do this a few times. This was that moment for Lucas Stiefelhagen when the steering gave way. The car would have been an absolute nightmare. There was the bit of bodywork that went flying off into the air. Last time it was seen, it was underneath the pink Mercedes. I don't know if it's still there now, but Marius Schmid will want to deposit that as quickly as possible. Pit window will be opening in about 10 minutes, so he probably will want to deposit it before then. Oh, he has deposited it on the exit of turn 3, so that is still in the racing line. Stiefelhagen climbs from the car. You can see from his body language, he's pretty fed up about that. And there is that piece of debris. Never has a piece of debris caused so much concern. It's on a different part of the track, but still on the racing line. Our race leader will have seen the top step of the podium flashing before his eyes as he went over it. Fortunately not with one of his tyres. So Gogolok still in front, 2.815 to the goods. The pit window opens in 9.5 minutes, so he'll want to open up as big a gap as possible. If things remain as they are now, Gogolok will be quite keen to stay out on track quite late into the window. He's got a very open track in front of him. We know how quick he is. He's a former winner here around the Red Bull Ring. He currently leads Alain Gabet by 2.815. That's what it was last time across the start-finish line. Silvesterson in the mighty BMW up to third. Denny Berndt in fourth, Victor Nielsen in fifth, then is Hendrik Still, Lewis Moser in seventh, ahead of Philip Verskirchen. Then it's Zebis, Felnefeld, Schmid, and in 12th place, Hamish Forrest, who's had a final warning for track limits. It's his debut in car racing this weekend, came from the UK radical scene, and very much a learning curve, a learning that Red Bull Ring is all about the track limits.
We saw a few laps ago the number 20 Razzoon More Than Racing Porsche Cayman of the British driver Jack James on the trip through the gravel trap and losing a few places, but he made one back up on the last lap. So Jack James back up to 14th place. He got ahead of the number 85 Jonathan Engstrom Mercedes-AMG, and so when he comes in and swaps over his teammate, a very late entrance, is Harry Hoover is going to take over that number 20 Porsche from Jack James, whose background predominantly is in two-wheel racing, in motorcycle racing. So see how he gets on his second day in the ADAC GT4 Championship. So Gogolok is just hovering at around about 2.7 seconds clear now. Sometimes he's a bit quicker, sometimes he's a bit slower than the chasing pack. He's very, very consistent. He was actually a tenth slower than Alan Gabet on the last lap around. You can see him in the background there. He's bringing Silvesterson with him. Silvesterson is slowly getting away from Denny Byrne, who burst onto the scene a few years ago as one of the front runners in the BMW M2 Cup, which has been rejuvenated, that championship, for this year. And then a bit of a gap back developing now to Nielsen and Still, who are running together. And also getting in with them now, he said his personal best first sector in 7th place is Lewis Moser, the Austrian driver on home soil, another FK Performance BMW, that number 49 car, getting towards that battle for 5th between Nielsen and Still.
So, car 92 under investigation for a driver change outside of the pit window. Oh, you think? Benjamin Silvesterson, now the quickest man on the track. Last time around, the quickest lap of the race. So we know how quick he is. We can see that gap closing in on Alan Gabet. And I think Gabet is going to have a large BMW-shaped problem approaching him before too long. So Benjamin Silvesterson, yesterday's winner, haven't even mentioned the success ballast yet. That car's got 15 kilos more on board than it had yesterday, on account of the fact that it finished on the top step of the podium yesterday. As we see, the 97 car, Eric Bertelsen, the Ginetta, got an awful lot of damage in a crash up at turn 1 yesterday. The team have worked really hard overnight, but Bertelsen now closing in on Hamish Forrest, who's carrying a little bit of damage himself. So the Ginetta making a challenge in towards turn 3, not quite close enough there, but closing in on that Porsche. So Bertelsen, who shares that car with Alexander Christensen, the Swedish duo. All right, what are we looking at here? I think this might be where Hamish Forrest picked up some of that damage. He was out onto the gravel. No, actually, it's not damage. I don't know if that's the bit of bodywork that Marius Schmidt was carrying around, but it's certainly a bit of debris on the front of that Porsche.
Well, if it is, it's got another taxi ride from another curb to another curb. It's been from turn 9 originally. We ended up at turn 3 last time we saw it. And if it is the same bit, it's somewhere else now. So, yeah, we want to get rid of that.
Lap of honour.
Get into the pit stops, yeah. It's got the fastest lap of the race in the broken splitter category, hasn't it? Just keeping an eye. Alan Gabet is kind of coming back. It's a bit by bit, but he's coming back now at Gogolok. The closer he can get, the more pressure he can put on the team to get their pit stop right as well. So all helps when the second drivers get on board the pit window got open in just over 5 minutes time now.
Look at this.
It's starting to get like very racy just behind, isn't it? And this is the climb, this run up here, that second turn, almost forget about it. It's absolutely flat out through the Munster curve. It's only here at the top of the hill at turn 3 where you really hit the brakes and trying to find a gap, trying to find a line, not into the corner, but out of the corner is Silvesterson. That's the battle for second place. Porsche runs a bit wide on the exit. It's a bit smoother on traction, a bit smoother on the line for Silvesterson, but he doesn't really close the gap and take advantage. So Gabet holding on to it for now, but he takes such speed into turn 3. It's really easy to run wide. He also, as a racing driver, you know there's a curve. There's not a gravel trap really on the exit to turn 3. So if you can carry as much speed through there, whilst obviously staying within the track limits. So these two fighting each other, and it might give Denny Byrne a sniff of getting back at them. More bodywork disappears. He's again from the number 20 Porsche, number 10 Porsche of Hamish Forrest. He's done a good job, hasn't he, in his debut, running more than holding his own, just outside the top 10 at the moment, just ahead of that Ginetta of Bertelsen.
Yet more debris thrown up into the air. I don't know which car that's off, but certainly that's not going to help whatever car it came off. And there, collecting it is Jack James. So I think drivers are lucky if they don't get punctures here. Right, look at this. The battle for second place. Alan Gabet. We knew that Silvesterson was going to be closing in on him fairly rapidly. I don't think Gabay is going to be able to hold him off for too long. We've seen how quick that BMW is. Up into turn 1 at the moment. Silvesterson being reasonably patient, if there is such a thing as a patient racing driver. Into turn 2, they will come next. The corner that is taken flat out. You can see it here. There's the race leader just up ahead of them. 2.5 clear now, so about 3/10 has gone between first and second. But into turn 3, this might be the opportunity. Is Silvesterson going to duck to the inside? Is Gabay going to cover it off? Gabay's done a good job there. Kept his concentration under braking, but Silvesterson as close as ever. This steep downhill bit towards turn 4 now. Got to get it right under the brakes here. You can see Gabay just moving over to the right-hand side to close off into that corner. Then he goes to the left, then back to hit the apex. Silvesterson has a look to the outside, the back end of the car sliding around. Of course, for all the drivers, they have to think of the long game here. In the pit stop, there are no tyre changes, so looking after the rubber for the full hour, really, really important. If Silvesterson cooks those tyres, then Gabriele Piana is going to be left with something with very little grit for the second half of the race. Gabay keeping it sensible, keeping it tidy, although a wheel just touching the dirt there, nothing to worry about too much. Out towards turn 8 they will come, in towards turn 9 very shortly. Silvesterson looking impatient. We're 2.5 minutes away from the pit window opening. And Alain Gabay in second place, under pressure from the BMW of Benjamin Silvesterson at a 10, along past the pits. Once again, is he going to make another challenge? Is Alain Gabay going to peel off into the pits when the pit window opens? Gogolok still looks in control at the front, while all the fighting's been going on for second. Gogolok has been able to open up about another 3/10 at the front. To turn 2 they come. Once again, the slipstream effect coming into effect here. Round turn 2, up the hill again, under braking. Now Silvesterson to the outside, maybe just trying to push the 30 car into a mistake, trying to intimidate him by filling the mirrors. Out of turn 3, so much pressure on Alain Gabay. He's keeping it tidy at the moment. Silvesterson looking to the left, looking to the right. Into turn 4 once again. Gabay still with it covered off. Into 4, and then out of 4 they come. Still, second and third remains, but for how much longer?
Yeah, I wonder if the Porsches are just struggling with their tyres a bit now. The BMWs are looking after their rubber slightly better, because obviously we've seen Gabay in the Porsche being put under huge pressure by Silvesterson in his BMW for second place. But in the background, Victor Nielsen has taken about a second out of Denny Burns in the battle for fourth place over the last 3 laps or so. So that's another BMW catching another Porsche. So Victor Nielsen one to keep an eye on, but the one to watch absolutely at the moment as he again tries a different line. He knows he can't get through here to Silvesterson, but all he's trying to do is unnerve the driver ahead, weave around the mirrors, just catch his eye. And if the driver ahead takes his eye off the road for a split second, look at the mirror, misses his braking point by a split second, misses his line through the corner, that's where you can pounce. So he's just trying to intimidate him at the moment, but the longer it goes on, the more the driver ahead, Alain Gabay, knows where that BMW is stronger, knows where the offensive is likely to come, and it's very likely to come on the run up to the next corner, which is why he sticks on the inside line. He knows the BMW has potentially got him here. He's going to have a go, so he just closes that line and makes sure that there's no invitation. So that's why last time round into turn 3, Silvesterson took the outside line and tried to cut back in. He's tried it a couple of times in this race, and the BMW is pretty smooth, pretty good on the torque coming out of turn 3, but isn't ultimately able to find a way through. So he's still just behind. He's still trying the outside lines here. He'll try and cut back on the inside on the way out of the turn, but in fairness, Alain Gabay is keeping that Porsche in exactly the right place all the time. Meanwhile, Bernd and Nielsen, that gap continues to come down. It was 2 seconds, the gap between that Porsche and that BMW 4 laps ago. It's now 0.6 of a second, and they're actually both catching this battle, so we could have 4 of them squabbling away for second place, which is all great news for Philippe Gogolok. The Aston Martin's going to get away from all of them, but look, he's almost pushing the Porsche down the hill as they run through turn 6 and turn 7, down towards the final 2 turns now. It's going to be another drag race up to turn 3, isn't it?
Yes, on that last lap, Philippe Gogolok was able to open up half a second on this battle for second place because Alain Gabay is having to defend like mad. Right, will anybody come into the pits this time around? Certainly none of the top half of the field coming in for the mandatory stop and driver change. Remember, every single car on the track is going to have to do that. And that looks like Philip Viskersen, who's peeled off into the pits. So he will come in and hand over to Linus Hana. Still, the fight for second place goes on. Right, here comes Viskersen then, keeping to the pit lane speed limit. There's a minimum pit stop time, 95 seconds from pit entry to pit exit. The drivers must not go below that. In the background, you saw Marius Schmid coming in. He'll be handing over to Alex Connor. Still, the fight for second place continues. Benjamin Silvesterson wants to get this done on the track, not in the pits. To the outside on turn 3, they come with a nose further in front than on the previous few laps. Now it really is a drag race in towards turn 4. Gabet still has the line into that corner, but it's going to be all about the braking here. Gabet leaving as late as he dare, giving a lot of room to Silvesterson, being very fair there, I believe, into turn 4. Out of 4 he comes, still in that position, but Silvesterson starting to look impatient. Denny Burt and Victor Nilsson continue to close in. This 2-car battle for second place is very rapidly becoming a 4-car battle. This could get quite explosive as we head in towards the pit stops. Replay here, you can see Silvesterson had a nose in front briefly. Needs to keep it within the track limits though, because if he were to make a move on the outside of the circuit, of course, the stewards would get involved. Now Gabet once again to turn 9. Silvesterson trying to humiliate him, but now cuts back into the pits, getting ready to hand over to Gabriele Piana. So Silvesterson into the pits. It takes the pressure off Alain Gabet for the time being, but of course he will have to come into the pits as well. Piana will get behind the wheel of that BMW. The team will have tried to coordinate it so he'll get out onto some open track and try to do the undercut on the car in front. So in we come. So Silvesterson, Lewis Moser, Frederick Zebesin, also Roman Feldner-Feldegg also in as well. He's handing over to Marek Buchmann. The 49 car, Lewis Moser, handing over to Luca Link, a real character and entertainer in GT4 Germany. No great rush here. The only driver to have ever started every single GT4 Germany race there has ever been is about to start his next race. Gabriele Piana about to start his 86th race out of 86 races at GT4 Germany. What an experienced pilot he is, and he will bring the car home. Roman Feldner-Feldegg exits the number 26 car. Marek Buchmann jumps in. Of course, both of those drivers were running an Aston Martin in GT4 last year, with Pro Sport having moved across to Mercedes-AMG, a very different steed. It's all very peaceful in the pits during these pit stops. With the minimum pit stop time of over 1.5 minutes, there's no panic. Gabet looks like he's still pressing on hard. You just saw him there just kicking a bit of dirt into the air, because now it's Denny Burt in the sister car and Victor Nilsson in the background who are starting to put the pressure on, but Burnt peels off into the pits. So Denny Burt will be handing over to Lachlan Robinson, the duo who led so much of the race yesterday but could only get a second place in the end. Burnt into the pits. Gogolok staying out. I think he's going to stay out quite late into the window. Alain Gabet still out as well. Got a bit of space. Look at all the brake dust rising up into the air as he comes to a stop. There is Lachlan Robinson, the driver from Australia, who gets ready to jump in behind the wheel of that Porsche. Right, well, looking here, that's a lap down. That's Gabriele Piana. Panic, everybody. Philip Gogolok on a lap ahead. So the leading stopper is behind the race leader. That's Gabriele Piana. That's going to be very interesting once Gogolok has come in and handed the wheel over to Jan-Philipp Springhob. And we will be seeing where he emerges in relation to Gabriele Piana. So the pit stop window will close in less than 5 minutes, and Gogolok and Jan-Philipp Springhob and the team are going to need to make some decisions. Into the pits there is Daniel Drexel. Well, he's jumping into the car, having taken over from Hamish Forrest. The team removing debris and trying to tidy things up at the front. You can see how hard Gogolok is pushing.
Yeah, and quite a few teams that are getting rid of bits of bodywork from underneath cars or errant on the side of cars when they come into the pit stops, but they've got time to do it. Still pushing on. Tyres getting hotter, tyres getting used. Stays out though. Piana there behind, as you say, is the leading pit stopper. And yeah, most of them are taking about 1 minute and 35, 1 minute and 36 to complete their pit stops. That's the entire pit stop from in to out, which is more or less a lap time, not quite a full lap time. But Piana was obviously a fair few seconds behind the race leader, which is why he's actually gone a lap down for the time being. So look at this, going to come out absolutely side by side here. The Porsche just ahead of the Aston Martin, and that's going to kind of maybe mess his lineup here on the run up into turn 3. He can carry that momentum around. No, he gets there before the braking zone, which was pretty important for Philip Gogolot, because if he'd been offline, that would have been a bit messy for him. So that the number 31 coming out now. Denny Burton, of course, was driving it to start with. Lachlan Robinson, the Australian, has taken over the wheel now, and so he almost stayed on the lead lap, but didn't. He goes a lap down too, but that's the car that's going to be in a fight for a podium position, that yellow and black Porsche, once the leaders all come in, including Gogolok, who hasn't been in yet, and Gabay in the number 30 Porsche, who still hasn't been in. The gap from first to second is 4.8 seconds. It was 2.7 seconds before they all started battling over second place, wasn't it? So it really helped the Aston Martin and Gogolok out. If you're 0.2 of a second a lap quicker than a car ahead, which is not an insignificant amount, it takes you 5 laps just to get 1 second back. So you're talking 20 to 25 laps to try and get that gap back at 0.2 of a second per lap. It's a nice, comfortable margin.
Yeah, absolutely is. Gogolok still yet to make that stop. Robinson very keen to keep Gabriele Piana behind him. Now Gogolok peels off into the pit, so Jan-Philipp Springhoff will be limbering up. This is what we're going to be watching for, where he emerges in relation to Lachlan Robinson and Gabriele Piana. So they are now tearing around as quickly as possible. So we'll keep one eye on the pits, one eye on those cars. In the background, Hendrick's still coming in as well. He's going to be handing over to the first time we've ever had a paraplegic in GT4 Germany. And it will be Tim Horrell who will take over from Hendrick still. Right, in comes Philip Gogolok. There's Jan-Philipp Springhoff, opens the door, helps Gogolok out. Helps him, Gogolok will help will help Jan-Philipp Springhoff into the seat of the car, help him to get buckled up, and then they will wait for the clock to tick down. We'll aim to hit the exit line of the pits when the clock strikes 0. They must not get there before. Right, this is interesting. Lachlan Robinson with Gabriele Piana for company. Gianni van der Kratz had a torrid day yesterday in the background, but very much in the hunt here today. This is going to be dramatic, because I think the Jan-Philipp Springhoff is going to be emerging somewhere close to these cars as well. At the moment, they're up at turn 6, in towards turn 7 they come. Gogolok having handed over to Jan-Philipp Springhoff in the pit still, waiting for that clock to tick down. Will want to be at the white line when it hits 0. Cannot just park it up in the pit lane, so they have to back time this really well. Piana will want to get past Robinson as urgently as possible. They're into turn 9 at the moment. Then into turn 10, the final corner. Jan-Philipp Springhoff will no doubt be starting to move now in the pits. Here he comes in the pit lane on the left-hand side of your picture. You can see him emerging. He'll be out into the pit exit very shortly, but his tyres will have cooled down while he's been stationary. He's got a good gap there, but here come the cars that are fighting over second and third. Piana absolutely monstering the car around turn 1 in the background. Also the Porsche as well. So this is going to be the battle for the podium positions. Jan-Philipp Springhoff, a perfect pit stop for him, along with Philip Gogolok. Now the fight for second place. Lachlan Robinson, Gabriele Piana and Maxi Schreier in there as well. Gianni van der Kratz was thoroughly disappointed yesterday, but he is having a much better day today, having taken over the number 50 car. Luca Link also rushing to join the battle. This feels like it's all compressing for the last 25 minutes of the race. Look at this. Look how hard Gabriele Piana is pushing the car as they come around that corner into turn 1, absolutely monstering and sliding the BMW. I said earlier on that you have to look after the tyres, because your co-driver will inherit whatever mess you've made of them in the second half of the race. And I think Benjamin Silvesterson was pushing hard. I think Gabriele Piana is finding there's probably a lot less grip in that car than there was when he did the first stint yesterday. into turn 10, into turn 9, towards turn 10 we come once again. Lachlan Robinson has fended off the attentions of Gabriele Piana for the time being, but he's got to hold on for another 24.25 minutes. Meanwhile, Jan-Philipp Springhoff has checked out, 4.6 seconds clear of this battle for second.
Yeah, well, that really worked out, didn't it, for the number 31 Avia Motorsport Porsche Cayman. Yellow and black and white car, now driven by Lachlan Robinson, because it was off the podium positions and it's gone from 4th to 2nd through that pit stop phase, and all the work that Silvesterson did to get past that Porsche. It took 2 goes to do it. It's been undone rather during that pit stop phase, so the 51 BMW's got to try and get back ahead of the Porsche. Really, Piana now behind the wheel, and so it is the number 4 Aston Martin, about the same distance ahead as it was before the pit stop. So 4.7 seconds has become 4.6 seconds, and into the right-hander at turn 4, 2nd, 3rd, 4th together. Robinson, Piano, Schreier comes through next in the number 30 car and taken over from Alan Gabon. So that was the car that's gone backwards, hasn't it? From a potential 2nd place, it's swapped around with the other Porsche. It's gone the other way. It's gone from 2nd down to 4th position. It's about 2 or 3 car lengths off this battle. Then it's Van der Kratz in the first of a trio of BMWs, number 50 in 5th place, and then Luca Link into 6th place, having taken over now the number 49 car that Moser drove. Now, Moser came to the pits pretty early on. That looked like a good plan, because Luca Link now in the car is much closer to the top 5 than that car was previously. But once again, different drivers, different part of the race, but it's the same battle, isn't it? It's a Porsche, yellow and black, yellow machine now driven by Robinson, trying to fend off Piana in that blue BMW for 2nd place this time. Last time around, they were battling for 3rd, and as he comes past the commentary box, the BMW is almost pushing the Porsche in towards turn 1. He can't get through here. All he can do is get on the gas as quickly as he can, get the better traction, get the run, and try and have a stab up at turn 3. But I bet you, Brian, that inside line is going to be full of Porsche. He'll have to try something different around the outside.
Yeah, and if anybody can do it, Gabriele Piana can. He's going to try and get as much of the job done as possible around turn 2. I tell you what, it's like slalom here with all the debris on the track. He goes to the outside line into turn 3. It was coming out of this corner last time around that both of these drivers took avoiding action of some debris in the middle of the track. Unfortunately, Maxi Schreier did not and went straight through the middle of it. Looks like he survived it without a puncture, but it is very much keeping one eye on all the debris as well as trying to hit all the braking points. So there is Lachlan Robinson. He's kept it all under control. Piana, I think, is running out of grip. In the background, Maxi Schreier is monstering that Porsche around the corner, and in the background, Luca Link as well.
Yeah, so through they come. We've got time 21 minutes 33 seconds to go, plus 1 lap. Going to get a replay. Is this going to be trouble for the Ginetta or the Porsche? These two cars have been stuck together for the whole race, or most of the race anyway. The number 20 Porsche now being driven by Harry Huber, but he runs wide. The former motorcycle race, and it looks like the Ginetta will have come past on the exit to the turn to gain the place. And yet Christensen has come through in that number 97 Ginetta. That's put him up to 12th place now, so 1 place gain.
And Christensen making his debut here in this race. Of course, the car never made it to the first pit stop yesterday. We saw him last year in the Prototype Cup Germany for a while, the Swedish driver in a Swedish pairing, KRT Racing. Really, really welcome. First time we've seen Ginetta on the grid of GT4 Germany since 2020. Great to have even more brands, even more manufacturers and teams joining us for this wonderful, wonderful series. Always good racing. What a race we've got for 2nd place. At the moment, Springhoff, well, he's just praying that the car doesn't have the issues it had yesterday, because he's in a really strong position, nearly 5 seconds clear of this battle. It could be any one of these 4 cars that finishes in 2nd place. At the moment, advantage Lachlan Robinson, proving himself to be very mature driver and just keeping it together, doesn't seem to give in to too much pressure. I said it yesterday, I said it again. He said, I hope you're going to see some really boring racing from me while I disappear up the front. Well, he was really entertaining yesterday. He's very entertaining today. He's got the legendary Gabriele Piana, the man whose roll of honour is massive, has won everything there is to win in GT4 racing, including the GT4 Germany Championship, and there's a lot of damage there to Daniel Drexel's car. The front left corner has taken a bit of a beating, so So that's not going to help the aerodynamics, and the headlight has gone south some time ago. I think the team at Razzoon More Than Racing, well, they're just adding to the debris around the track. Razzoon are going to have to do a lot of work on that before we go to Norris Ring. You see the glass from the headlights scattering. Don't think that's going to be working anymore. It's hanging on by a wire, and you do risk giving yourself a puncture when you've got bodywork like that flailing.
How can we make the car lighter? Probably a better way of doing it than that. Without damage to the front right when he came into the pits, didn't it? It's the front left corner that's all mangled in now as well. So the run up the hill comes again. The BMW's a bit further back this time. The two in the background might be worth keeping an eye on, because Luca Link is looking more and more menacing in his BMW, isn't he? And yes, the line is covered by Schreier on the way into the corner, but he opens the gap and Luca Link dives down the inside. Oh. Bit of contact on the way through, but Luca was already through, wasn't he? And as the Porsche turned in, it just clipped the left rear corner of the BMW. He had to get off the throttle, which is why Schreier has lost loads more time coming out of the turn. So a really good move that from Luca Link. It looked like the line was going to be covered, but at the last second, the Porsche pulled back to the left, and in like a flash was Luca Link. One chance, one move, one position gain. So Luca now up into 4th place, and he looks like he's got good pace. Looks like the tyres are being looked after well as well. So he's going to be a factor, challenging potentially for a podium. A bit further back, there was a change on turn 1 as well. You didn't see it on camera, but coming past the commentary box window, Cayenne Potez in the CV Performance Mercedes was right underneath Harry Hooper's Porsche, and by the time they got out of turn 1 and up to turn 3, he was ahead. So Potez now up to 13th place in the Mercedes, and Hooper down to 14th.
And Harry Huber's day has not got any better. A penalty lap for track limits. The first penalty lap we've seen for track limits in this race. Certainly not the first we've seen this weekend. So he will have to visit the penalty box on the exit of turn 3. He'll have to pass through that at no more than 50 kilometers an hour. It will be the equivalent to adding about 5 seconds onto the lap time. Second place, the fight continues. How much longer can this go on? I think Piana maybe had backed off a bit just to allow things to cool down. When you're tucked up behind a car in front, the tyres, everything about the car overheats. Now the attack is back on again. We've got a little over 17 minutes of this race remaining. Still completely undecided who's going to finish in second place. Gabriele Piana won it yesterday, got that additional ballast on board the car as a result of that win, but Lachlan Robinson has an additional 10 kilos on account of finishing second. Maxi Schreier has an additional 5 kilograms on account of finishing third yesterday. They carry that ballast just for one race only. Jan-Philipp Springhoff, no such problems because of that issue they had yesterday. But these two cars continue to fight. Gabriele Piana in third place, just pressure, pressure, pressure all the way through. Lachlan Robinson not allowing himself to be distracted or indeed destructed. Focused on what's happening in front, not focused on the mirror. Good, mature driving from Lachlan Robinson at the moment, but can he keep this up for another 16 minutes and 20 seconds? Turn 9, once again, quite a downhill section, then into turn 10. Keep it within the track limits. Out of 10 they come. Out on the pit straight. Once again, Piana, you just feel like the big attack is coming. He ducks to the inside in towards turn 1. Robinson goes to close the door. Up the hill they come once again into the right-hander. Robinson still in control at the moment. Then into turn 2 we will come. Taken flat out. Once again the slipstream will come into effect. Will Piana duck out of the slipstream as they climb up the hill towards the right-hander of turn 3. He's tucked up behind at the moment. Which way will he go? He goes to the outside into turn 3. Robinson has it covered off. Piana will try and duck back to the inside, but he doesn't have the speed on the exit of the corner. Robinson still in front. Down the hill towards turn 4 they will come. The right-hander once again. This is the tricky one where they need to stay focused. Robinson has him covered off. Piana knows he's not going to get it done on this corner, so he's going to have to wait, bide his time and do it all again. He's got 15 minutes to make it happen.
Just further back as well, a word for Marek Buchmann in the Pro Sport Racing Mercedes. He and his teammate, who did the first stint, Roman Felder, started 16th on the grid, and the number 26 car on the last lap just got up to 8th place, so they're having a good run. We've also had a change for 9th. Tim Horrell has just been passed by Alex Connor, so the British driver in the pink BWT Luca Motorsport Mercedes now up into 9th place. Horrell are still rounding out the top 10. So this battle rages on. This is fantastic driving from Lachlan Lachlan Robinson. He's positioning that car in exactly the right place. He's defending the racing line, but he's not over-defending it, because the easiest thing in the world is just hog the inside line. But that's not the quickest way through a corner. If you go tight into a corner, you're going to go wide through it. You can't get on the gas as quickly as you want to on the way out of it. So he's not leaving enough of a gap for a BMW to come through, but he's also been able to take a pretty good racing line, and he knows that that BMW will try and attack on the way out of the corner, and he gets on the throttle very keenly. So here he's defending now. He'll drift across a little bit to the racing line, so he's not super tight to the corner. BMW will try and flick one up the inside, but he's too far back, and then the BMW will go out wide again, try and get back on the gas and out accelerate him here, but the Porsche has got pretty good traction coming out of turn 3, and it doesn't really work. And you can see what Piana is doing here, because if you're right behind the car in front, you can't accelerate until just after they accelerate. So he's trying to give himself a run out the corner, isn't he? He's trying to hold back by about a car length, get on the gas sooner and have the run out of turn 3. But it won't work as long as that Porsche doesn't make a mistake, because Robinson has ultimately got very good traction coming out of turn 3, and that's why he's been able to fend him off. And the longer this goes on, the more difficult it's going to be for Piana to try and outsmart the driver ahead, because Piana has tried a few options that haven't worked, and now it's becoming a bit stale for him, isn't it? Because Robinson knows exactly where those attacks are going to come from, and is better prepared for it.
Yes, Piana's kind of showed his hand a little bit, hasn't he? And the tyres on that BMW will be getting tired as well. Of course, all the debris around the circuit also changes the dynamic, because I certainly saw that on the entrance to turn 2, that both cars having to take avoiding action. That's one section of the track where Piana can't really make an attack, because there's debris right in the middle of the line that they want to race on. Now, towards turn 1 again, Piana ducks out, maybe gets a bit of cool air as well. And to break in, you see the cars wobbling a little bit, the back end sliding on Lachlan Robinson's car. Past the debris they go on the exit of turn 1 in towards turn 2. Piana once again. This is the main opportunity on the lap to make that challenge. He goes to the outside, up the hill into turn 3, but Robinson has got this covered off, tries to duck back to the inside. Robinson, though, still got it covered off, but now the drag race. This time, Piana with a nose in front. He's going to have the line into turn 4. This could be exactly where he gets the job done. He just needs to slow it down exactly right, not make any mistakes. Into turn 4 they come. Piana with the inside line. Finally, job done, but Robinson not giving up. Ducks back to the inside, tries to do the undercut on the inside line, round to the right-hand corner. Robinson with his nose back in front. Piana on the inside line for the next corner. Turn 6 and 7 they come, but Robinson has lost that position for the time being. But can he challenge back at that BMW? Luca Link in the background, too far back to get involved in this battle at the moment, but that was fairly textbook. Gabriele Piana had to wait for his moment, and maybe it was there when Lachlan Robinson could see the back end sliding, the tyres starting to cry enough, and that gave the momentum to Gabriele Piana to make that challenge and move up into second place.
Yeah, it was all about turn 1, wasn't it? The Porsche just drifting, just losing traction, acceleration. Robinson, in fairness to him, I thought it was definitely going to be done at the inside then on the way into turn 3, because he'd lost his momentum out of the corner. It looked like he might actually hold the position, but because the BMW was that little bit closer on the run up to turn 3, that time when he cut from the outside to the inside, he was just about a metre closer than he had been before, enough to get the BMW his foot in the door and steal the racing line. And even if he wasn't in front, he knew that the BMW being on the right-hand side will ultimately going to pay off at turn 4. But it was a great effort from Robinson to try and come back at him then on the run down the hill through the right at turn 5. But ultimately at turn 6, he was through that left-hander on the wrong line again. All of this massively helps out Springbob in the race lead.
Yes, indeed.
6 seconds clear now, isn't he? Just cruising to victory seemingly, and that means he can look after the tyres, look after the car. Doesn't have to push like crazy, doesn't have to make any mistakes. He does have to stay switched on though. It's very easy to make silly mistakes when you're not going absolutely flat out, because you're not in your usual rhythm of braking, turning in, everything you normally do for a fast lap. You're just backing off perhaps a little bit, and you don't want to do it too much, because you start doing really silly things that cost you time and lose your focus, lose your flow really.
Oh, that is Harry Huber, who's parked up at the side of the track in turn 10. Now this, if he can't get that moving, this is going to bring out at the very least a full course yellow, maybe even a safety car, which could be very very bad news for our race leader, Jan-Philipp Springhob. So he'll be hoping and praying that Harry Huber can get that car moving. Yes, he does. So you can see there's a lot of damage to the car as well. He's got the hazards flashing. So I don't think we're going to need a safety car. We may well need a full course yellow to get it moved. The race directors will be keeping a very close eye on that. Of course, if a safety car were to come out, all the gaps would close down, and suddenly the very rapid Gabriele Piana would be on the back bumper of Jan-Philipp Springhob. So at the moment, it's just a localized yellow, nothing more than that, but we'll have one eye on that. Jan-Philipp Springhob with a 5.7 second gap. He's had to work hard for that. Has to be careful. It's not just about keeping his concentration, but also avoiding all the debris. It's like avoiding all the potholes back where I live. It's just weaving around it. Doesn't want to pick up puncture. Right, are we going to get, yes, full course yellow. So that is good news for Springhob in terms of maintaining that gap at the front. The full course yellow now comes out. So the cars reduce their speed to 80 kilometers an hour while there is attention given to Harry Huber. I don't know what's happened there. Pointing at an unusual direction. I think something has finally broken and the car has come to a stop on one of the fastest corners of the circuit. So very important for safety that he is removed from there. The team from Razzoon More Than Racing, well, they've got till July to get everything tidied up and repaired. They've got a bit of work to do after this weekend. Harry looks like he's going to be emerging from the car, and the crew are going to need to get that removed. So I don't know what's happened there. Right, here comes the big tractor that will pick the car up. And with the clock still running, of course, under full course yellow, I think that's Harry there, looking on from a distance and reflecting on what has been a fairly lively debut in ADAC GT4 Germany. Yesterday, it was a non-finish, and today it's going to be another one.
Yeah, it does look like from the angle of the car something's gone on it, doesn't it? And it should be a pretty quick extraction from the telehandler once it's all hooked up. The Marshals, the recovery team there working as quickly as they can so we don't lose too much racing time. The clock ticks down, just over 7 minutes plus 1 lap to go in the race. And it is Jan-Philipp Springhob that leads still, and the Cozy Racing by ESM Aston Martin 9 odd seconds clear now of number 51, driven at the moment by Gabriele Piana, one of the 3 FK Performance BMWs, all going pretty well, all 3 of them inside the top 7 at the moment. So 3rd place, and of course he had that big battle to wrestle that second place away, but down to 3rd place now for the Australian Lachlan Robinson in the one of the 4 Avia W&S Motorsport Porsche Caymans. So he's there in 3rd place, number 31. Luca Link, number 49, running in 4th place. He and Moser, his teammate, started 9th on the grid, so it's a bit of a result that to be in 4th place. If we could get a podium, that would be awesome, but he wasn't even really catching that battle between Piana and Robinson while it was raging on for 4 or 5 laps. They're battling each other, but he wasn't really catching them at that point. 5th place is the number 30 Max Schreier car, another Avia Porsche Cayman, driven by Alan Gabay. It was running in 2nd before the pit stops, but dropped to 4th after the pit stop, or during the pit stop phase, and then dropped to 5th place when Luca Link came by at turn 3 around about 10 minutes ago. So that's down to 5th place now, the number 30 Porsche, having started up on the front row of the grid. And rounding out the top 6 is that pale blue Porsche, the BMW rather, driven by Gianni van der Kratz at the moment, the Dutch driver who took over from Victor Nielsen for FK Performance. So that runs in 6th place. 7th place, number 77, is at the moment Linus Hahn behind the wheel of the ME Motorsport BMW. And 8th place, as I say, from 16th on the grid. A good effort this from first Roman Feldegg and now his German teammate Marek Bogman. It's
hard work getting a Porsche, bouncing it off the ground. The Marshals doing a sterling job there. I think Razzoon More Than Racing are probably watching from behind a pillow as an awful lot of money's worth of machinery is hauled through the air. There's a look at the underside of a Porsche Cayman if you've never seen one before. But the crew, I don't think the balance is quite right there, but looks like it's about to fly with the doors open, doesn't it? So finally, the giant Wasp is moved to the side of the track. I was just looking at the gaps there, and of course, when the full course yellow comes out, everybody decelerates, and I would say it is about to finish, everybody decelerates and indeed accelerates at a different time. You're not meant to stand on the brakes. It looked to me a little bit like Gabriele Piana had closed in a little on Jan-Philipp Springhoff. It was saying 9.3 seconds last time across the line. I think it is less than that now, but we're back to green flag racing once again. 4.5 minutes remaining of this race. Cozy Racing by ESM looking for their first ever win in ADAC GT4 Germany. Of course, Eastside Motorsport, long-term contenders in this championship, but the collaboration with Cozy Racing will be looking for their first ever win. Jan-Philipp Springhoff, something of a veteran in the world of GT4 Germany. He's had a couple of wins in the past, but he hasn't stood on the top step of the podium since 2023. Needs to hold it all together, needs the car to hold together for another 4 minutes plus 1 lap. Leading the way ahead of Gabriele Piana, the former champion. Lachlan Robinson there, but now coming under pressure from Luca Link. Luca Link has had a final warning for track limits, so he needs to be quite careful as he challenges for the last of the podium positions, but the hint of a trophy is going to be a little bit too much. Further challenges further back. Gianni van de Kratz is in the war. Linus Hahner as well. So everybody looking for some points in the closing stages of this race. Gianni van de Kratz in the blue car. Linus Hahner in the orange and black. Advantage Linus Hahner now at the moment. Hahner up to 6th place. Gianni van de Kratz trying to get him back again. BMW versus BMW. A little over 3 minutes remaining. The gap between first and second down to 3.6 seconds.
Yeah, good move that on the brakes from Hahner. Didn't overcook it on the way through the corner. He started to leave behind now. Van der Kratz in that pale blue BMW in that squabble for 6th place. But during that full course yellow on the restart, Luca Link much closer to Lachlan Robinson than he was before, isn't he? So he started to try to get from 9th on the grid onto the podium in the number 49 BMW, the orange, white and black car. Goes past the commentary box window, still about a length behind the Porsche. There they are, coming into shot now, turning right. The battle for third, Porsche versus BMW, as we've said so often in this race, and albeit different Porsches, different BMWs squabbling over different positions. They'll be the two cars to have here this weekend, haven't they? The best of the Mercedes, which has started back in 16th place today, is Botman, and that's in 8th place. So all Porsches, BMWs, apart of course from the Aston Martin that leads the race. Now look at this, Luca Link getting almost side by side. He's almost got his foot in the door coming out of turn 3. And Robinson knows how to defend. We saw that earlier. He fended off Piana for a long time, didn't he, in the race? Piana has dropped him now, though. And you're right, he is much closer to Springhoff than he was during that full course yellow. It was 9 seconds. It's now 4 seconds, the gap from first to second. Here's an opportunity again. Lachlan Robinson running a little bit wide through the apex, struggling for grip with the Porsche. The BMW looks absolutely planted. And it's going to be a long 2 minutes plus 1 lap for the Australian, because that car is dancing through the apexes. He's struggling to get it turned in. The BMW looks like it's on rails, and Luca Link looks like he's got a real good chance here of getting onto the podium.
Wow, great racing here. Luca Link in that BMW. I think Lachlan Robinson's fed up with BMWs. He wants them just to leave him alone. Luca Link, the German driver for FK Performance Motorsport, absolutely wringing the neck of the number 49 car. Lachlan Robinson in the last of the podium positions, 91 under investigation, speeding under a full course yellow, so that's bad news for Jesper Jensen, but he's further back in 14th place. We look down on the pit straight with just 1 minute of timed racing remaining, so when the clock strikes 0, the leader will complete the lap that he is on, and then there'll be one more after that. At the moment, Jan-Philipp Springhoff is heading up towards turn 3, so this is almost certainly going to be the penultimate lap into turn 3. He comes. Following closely behind him is the battle for third place. Lachlan Robinson still in front of the Porsche at the moment, but you get a feeling that Luca Link sensing an opportunity for some silverware in GT4 Germany for the very first time. Up until now, Luca Link's best finish has been a couple of 11th places, so already looking set to earn his best ever finish in GT4 Germany. He would love to do that with a trophy under his arm as well. But Lachlan Robinson, we've already seen how good he is, how hard he concentrates, how few mistakes he makes. He's holding on to that third place. The clock is about to strike 0. Our leader is up at turn 8, so just a little over 1 lap remaining of this race 2 of the season. ADAC GT4 Germany 2026. We've got a fair idea of who's going to come first, who's going to come second. No idea at all who's going to come third. At the moment, advantage Robinson, but can he hold on for what will be 1 more lap once they come out of this corner?
Well, he knows he can't make a mistake at turn 1. That's what cost him second place to Piana a few laps ago. So this is going to be a tense final lap. The gap coming down as they cross the start-finish line, come out of the shadows of the grandstand. Luca Link, another star driver to come and find his grounding in the BMW M2 Cup a few years ago. Looking good here, trying to get his first podium, but maybe a bit too far back because that was a good run coming out of turn 1 for Robinson, wasn't it? The Porsche looks like he's actually pulled away a little bit by a length or so, but the BMW will come at him now through turn 3. It's going to be down at 4. It's still going to be nose to tail. It's very good on the brakes, Luca Link, so he's gobbled the gap back down, but he wasn't close enough to attack there. Half a lap to go now, and Robinson's just got to keep focused on the apexes ahead of him. Flashing the lights, Luca Link, to try everything. He'll have one more chance maybe, and it might come down at turn 7.
So into turn 4 we come. Luca Link as close as he can get. Lachlan Robinson taking a nice tight entry into the corner. We're in the last few corners of this race now. Third place, Lachlan Robinson. He ducks to the outside. Luca Link with a tighter line through that corner. Is this going to be the opportunity? Luca Link starting to look even more impatient now on this very, very last lap. Into turn 7 they come. Maybe the last chance coming about now. Robinson keeping it focused on what's ahead of him. Out of turn 8, up over the hill. Luca Link has a little look to the inside. Robinson goes in the opposite direction. Into turn 9 they come. Meanwhile, out of turn 10, our race leader is about to become a race winner. Jan-Philipp Springhoff, along with Philip Gogolov, winning race 2 of the season. Out across the line next, Gabriella Piana, along with Benjamin Silvesterson. Lachlan Robinson holding on in the number 31 car along with Denny Byrne for the last of the podium positions. The crowd absolutely loved that, but Luca Link, his best ever finish in ADAC GT4 Germany along with Lewis Moser for FK Performance Motorsport. What a great race that turned out to be. Aston Martin from BMW from Porsche.
Yeah, excellent drive that from Robinson, because that Porsche looked like he was struggling for about the last 15 minutes of that race. He really dug his heels in to defend very well from Piana for a long time, and just that one bit of a sideways moment coming out of turn 1 ultimately cost him on the exit to turn 3. But then it felt like he was second favourite on that last couple of laps to Luca Link, because that BMW looked planted, the Porsche looked a real handful, but Robinson doing a superb job there to hang on to what was a podium finish. So ended up there in 3rd place where they started, but it was a tough fight to do that. And Luca Link, yeah, really good effort there in 4th place. Tried everything he could, but it was very fair driving from him. But a superb performance, really dominating from the Aston Martin. Philip Gogolov, great first stint. It was really the first lap, wasn't it? Because Gogolov was under a lot of pressure on that first lap and fended off particularly Alan Gabet, who was coming after him, the Israeli driver. But once he got into his stride, that Aston Martin looked like it was set up beautifully, and Philip drove it very, very well. And Jan-Philipp Springhoff did a superb job in the second stint as well. No mistakes from what I could see. Managed the gap, and a well-deserved victory. Good second place, though, from Piana and Silvesterson, because both drivers had to fight hard to just get on the podium, didn't they? I think back to the battle that Silvesterson was having with the Porsches and going back and forth between those two Porsches and trying to find a way past Denny Byrne. He did so in the end, and then they kind of had to do it again after the pit stop phase, which they did very well to get second.
So, first win for Jan-Philipp Springhoff since 2023. First win this year for Philip Gogolov. They take top step of the podium. Gabriella Piana, Benjamin Silvesterson strengthen their position at the top of the championship ahead of Lachlan Robinson, Denny Byrne. This one's going to go all the way to the end of the season. Luca Link and Lewis Moser doing a great job next, and they're rounding out the top five, Alan Gabet and Maxi Schreier. At the end of a DTM weekend, we normally get into the car and drive back to the airport, and I always say to Chris, GT4 Germany was really good this weekend. Now you just can see why, can't you?
Yeah,
How
good.
good are they?
Yeah, all the way through. Great
Yeah.
racing all the way through.
Yeah.
And close and fair. Hard, but fair, I think. Lots of bits of bodywork flying off in the middle of that
Always
race.
that.
Always that. But there was no silly, crazy driving, was there? And it was really good to watch. The respect that was out there as well. So really close stuff, particularly in the fights for second, third places. The first drivers now fully refreshed, but they would have been pretty straight. I don't know what's more stressful, being in the car in the first stint doing what you're doing, or watching your partner take the wheel over and try and bring it home in the second half of the race. Must be quite tense in the garages.
You just saw Philip Gogolok sprinting over to meet up with Jan-Philipp Springop, and I should think the nerves, particularly after yesterday, where they were so strong in the car, running in a podium position, and then the car just packed up for whatever reason. It must have been something electrical. Came to a stop on the pit straight. Right, here comes Philip in the background, rubbing his hands together. He's getting used to this winning feeling. A hug to Jan-Philipp Springop. Of course, in that car last year, for the second half of the season, Jan-Philipp Springop joined the championship for the last 4 rounds with one Mr. Storm Yerdrum, who's now moved into the ADAC GT Masters. Would love to see Philip Gogolok in a GT3 car before too long, because he certainly knows how to win in GT4. Right, I think that's about it. Time to go. We'll see you next time for GT4 Germany.
Und das zweite Rennen der Saison der ADAC GT4 Germany ist in den Geschichtsbüchern. Kommen wir zur Siegerehrung für das heutige Sonntagsrennen. Und da darf ich zuallererst die Startnummer 31 aufs Podest begrüßen. ADAC Motorsport. Danny Bernd und Lachlan Robinson. Wir kommen zu Platz 2, die Startnummer 51, FK Performance Motorsport. In der Zusammensetzung Gabriele Piana und Benjamin Silvesterson. Platz 2, Glückwunsch! Und die Sieger des heutigen Rennens wollen wir auch nach vorne bitten. Die Startnummer 4, Cozy Racing, Jan-Philipp Springhopp und Philipp Gogolok. Und natürlich wollen wir auch einen Vertreter bzw. eine Vertreterin für das siegreiche Team für Cozy Racing mit nach vorne bitten. Virginia Möckel. Und, wo wir sie alle so schön beisammen haben, zu Ehren des siegreichen Teams die deutsche Nationalhymne. Lasst doch mal einen kleinen Applaus da. Und dann kommen wir jetzt zu der Pokalübergabe. Und da beginnen wir mit den Drittplatzierten, Danny Bernd und Lachlan Robinson. Übergeben wird der Pokal von Matteo Braga, Circuit Activities Manager. Die Pokale für Platz 2 für Gabriele Piana und Benjamin Silvesterson kommen von Manuel Pfeiffer, Abgeordneter zum Nationalrat. Und dann noch die Pokale natürlich für das siegreiche Team. Die werden erneut übergeben von Matteo Braga. Und natürlich soll es auch einen Pokal fürs siegreiche Team geben. Auch der wird übergeben von Manuel Pfeiffer, Abgeordneter zum Nationalrat. Dann rückt doch gerne noch mal ein kleines bisschen näher zusammen. Einmal noch mal nett lächeln für alle Fotografen. Alle anderen bringen sich schon mal in Sicherheit. Denn it's time for Champagne!